Allegations of sexual assault and abuse some decades old. It could be a headline from this year's presidential race, but it is also the central story of a new film about Rwanda that offers some lessons and hope for women around the world. Full Measure correspondent Lisa Fletcher reports.
I've interviewed in my time hundreds of rape victims. The Rwandan testimonies were really some of the most brutal.
The Uncondemned opens in theaters this week, a documentary that details an historic prosecution of rape as a war crime. It is the too real story of the horrors of Rwanda, the courtroom drama, and survivors who found the courage to testify. Victoire Mukambanda was one of the victims who came forward.
They killed our family, they destroyed our houses, they took away our cows and they ate them. And after that, after finishing my family, killing all of them, they abused me, they raped me over and over.
I mean, it was so much to ask to come to the tribunal and to basically have to relive what the worst moments of their lives.
I began to tell her about what happened in Bosnia, in Japan, and elsewhere, and how none of these cases had been prosecuted, and no one had ever been prosecuted for rape in time of war, ever.
Convincing women to testify about sexual crimes was and is a difficult task. Sarah Darshori has investigated war crimes around the world and prosecuted the Rwanda case.
I think it took time for people to feel comfortable coming forward. For years, there was not really any thought that crimes would ever be prosecuted. And in Rwanda in particular, you had the additional problems with lack of security for witnesses. When we started, we didn't have a witness protection program at all, which...
Did you need one?
As it turns out, we did need one.
In fact, the husband and daughter of one of the victims who testified were murdered.
A few years ago,
Lisa Pruitt is a law professor at the University of California, Davis. She put together a study for the tribunal that cracked the code of getting the Rwandan victims to come forward and his implications for pursuing rape cases elsewhere.
Why do you think women who are victims of sexual abuse, sexual violence, might be reluctant to come forward?
Well, they're embarrassed. Sometimes they're blaming themselves, again, as part of sort of a patriarchal culture, a rape culture, that tells them that you must have made a bad decision by putting yourself in a situation where you were sexually assaulted.
Very often, people who've been assaulted take a while to come forward for a number of reasons, including the trauma itself. But also, many people fear that they won't be believed.
Pruitt adds that misunderstandings about the nature of sexual violence transcend all cultures and not only kept Rwandan women from testifying, but also hold back women in the United States from coming forward.
Women are also discouraged in this culture from telling their stories. There's all the victim blaming and the stereotypes that, that rape or sexual assault is about, sexual attractiveness. It's really just a power play.
For the women of Rwanda, power and domination was the undeniable aim of their attackers.
Based on what you saw and what you argued in court, do you see rape as a part of war or a weapon of war?
Oh, it is definitely a weapon of war. It's wielded as a form of terror.
But their ultimate courtroom victory brought Victoire and 3 other Rwandan victims profiled in the film to the United Nations for the movie's premiere this week. They used the occasion to deliver a message that no woman, anywhere, should fear coming forward.
It was for all Rwandans, all those women that have been raped in Rwanda during genocide, but also for all women around the world. So that's a very something we're so proud of as women, and every woman in the world should be proud of that.
It's incredible, Scott, the courage of 4 ordinary women from a rural village in Rwanda. They changed international law. They changed the way rape is prosecuted. I mean, this was a precedent-setting case as big as any decision ever out of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Fascinating. Thank you, Lisa.